Hi there, this is Steve Arterburn, and before New Life Live begins, I wanted to remind you that we're in the final week of our $400,000 matching gift challenge, and we need your help. We're getting closer to reaching the full amount, but are still short and only have until Friday for the gifts to be doubled. If you've ever considered giving to New Life, I'm asking you to do it today. The impact of your gift will be doubled, so there's no better time than now. And if you're able to give $100 or more, I'll be happy to send you a copy of the just released Every Woman's Bible, if you request it. There are 3 ways that you could give. 1, newlife.com/donate. It's that simple online. Or you could text the word MATCH to 28950, or simply by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Thanks for making a difference in the lives of others. Now let's get on with today's program.
Welcome to New Life Live with Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's today's host, Becky Brown.
Hello, everyone. I'm so glad that you decided to join us today, and I am joined by Dr. Jill Hubbard, psychologist, author of many books, and Dr. Jim Burns, president of Homeward, and also author of the zillion books. I mean, I don't even know what the number is on that one. But today, I want to hear, Jill, what is on your mind?
Yes, if mine are many, yours are zillions, that's for sure. Well, I've been thinking, and last time we were together, this idea comes up over and over again of what do we do when a loved one won't seek help? And we hear all kinds of relationships, right? A relative, a child, a parent, or a spouse. And the problems, are all across the spectrum to varying degrees. But my heart just goes out to people, because when you're in that situation, I mean, you care. You love the person who is struggling, and you want to do everything you can to help them. And it's such a powerless feeling. And so a few thoughts about that. One is we first have to look at safety issues, right? Safety first, always. If we are in danger, we have to take care of ourselves first, right? We also have to consider the safety of the other person. And certainly, if safety is a factor, then we may have to risk them being mad at us. Because you would rather your loved one be with you, right, and mad than not with you. So those are some important things. And I think it's really hard to determine when you're in a situation. And Becky, last time we were together, you mentioned kind of how people get desensitized to the chaos.
Yes.
You live with it and you normalize it. And it becomes part of your life and you don't realize what it's doing to you. And so one of the things I had said before was, if something seems really off, trust yourself. It probably is. And that's where it's really important that we need feedback from others. You need to be sharing. And so often when people, like, they have a difficulty with a spouse, the wife withdraws from all of her friends because she's embarrassed. It's not okay. You need other people to validate you. And then how do you tell the difference between a mental health crisis and a mental health emergency? So, I have a lot more to share. So a mental health emergency is where someone is a danger to themselves or others, right? Or they're gravely disabled and you need to get the authorities in. A mental health crisis does not rise to that level, but is really destabling for a family and can create a lot of crisis. So one of the important things as we're going to break here is to stay calm. You never want to escalate with a loved one because it doesn't help. So Becky, if you want me to share more, I can. Or
yeah. When we come back after this break, and I think it's such a great topic because there's a lot of people that are suffering in silence.
Yep.
And we can give you some directions forward so that everyone is better, even if they choose not to. We're going to go to the calls too, 1-800-229-3000. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back after this.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn from New Life Live, and Chris Williams and I are doing the Emotional Freedom Workshop. I don't know of anybody that wouldn't benefit from emotional freedom. We're all bound or stuck or struggling in some area. What are we going to do there, Chris?
Just really help people get clarity around the places where they're stuck in their life. They sort of circle the same mountain of disappointment over and over and over again. You're going to be able to see that mountain clearly and get to a new place of what we call emotional freedom, which is simply I can feel in the world, build a relationship to it, and know what to do with my experiences.
The New Life Emotional Freedom Online Intensive is Saturday, June 1st. Steve Arterburn, Chris Williams, and Dr. Jackie Mack Harris will present information on trauma, depression, codependency, and more. And small group leaders will help you process the information you learn. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
I'm Steve Arterburn with a New Life Moment. M.R. Siemens, a retired pastor, was returning home around midnight when he came upon a motorist covered in oil and red-faced with anger. Upon stopping his car, M.R. asked how he could help. The man asked for a ride and immediately let loose with a barrage of profanity. When he finished, he asked the pastor what he was doing out so late, and M.R. told him that he was a pastor returning home from some evangelistic meetings. Embarrassed, the man asked the pastor why he didn't stop him. The pastor replied, "Well, your problem isn't your mouth, it's your heart." And he proceeded to share with the man who Jesus was and what it means to be one of his followers. How else should we expect him to speak? M.R. later asked. Would it be better for a man to sing hymns all the way to hell? Do you have questions about God's grace or salvation or what's in your heart? Well, visit newlife.com. I'm Stephen Arterburn. Thanks for listening to this New Life Moment.
I love that. I love that so much. The compassion. It's so powerful. I'm always grateful for Steve's wisdom. We're going to go to Jean, but I want Jill to wrap up what she was talking about before the break.
Okay. You want me to finish a bit?
I do.
Okay. So I was talking about staying calm and not escalating with a family member. Look for and pray for opportunities where a family member might be receptive to hearing about help. And when you think about it, like if you have someone that's really depressed, they need you to come alongside them. That's different than someone who's maybe purely an addict and needs to do for themselves, and you don't want to enable them. So you have to be clear on that and understand that a person's resistance, to the degree that they are resistant to seeking help, tells you how much they actually need the help. Right? That their shame and their fear, and they usually know it, but they're so afraid of what will be uncovered that they can't tolerate seeking it. So you're on the right track. And so again, get the support, research the options for help so that when they're ready, you're ready as well. And then, as we always say, seek help for yourself, right? And then invite them to join you.
I love that. And we can help you with that help. So if you need some help, you can call us. 1-800-229-3000 is the number for today. Right now, we're going to talk with Jean, who's calling us from Charleston, West Virginia, listens on Sirius XM. Hi, how are you, Jean? Thanks for calling. How can we help you?
Hi, thank you for talking with me today. I appreciate it.
Of course. What's your question?
My question is, how can my husband and I present a united front to our daughter? She is 41 years old. She was divorced for the second time about a year or so ago. She was married for almost 20 years. She has a 14-year-old daughter and a 19-year-old son. The son is getting ready to leave to join the Merchant Marines. She has now told us that her boyfriend and his daughter are going to be moving in with her. And we, of course, don't agree with that, being a Christian family. And my husband and I don't agree on how we should respond to this.
Wow, Gene, that's a lot.
Yep.
I would love to know your version and his version. Are you and your husband having conflict about this? What would be your approach?
Well, we talked to her separately because we were in separate states when she called to tell us. And I relayed to her that that is not what we wanted to hear, and she knows that. My husband said to her, well, I guess God wasn't in your decision making. And also about that there would be consequences to that decision. And she knows from the previous time that he doesn't want any part of the two of them together. Where I'm okay with the fact that she knows I don't agree with her. I think this is a wrong choice. And I'm not going to let them stay in my home together. But that I would meet him and be cordial to him and get to know him, where my husband doesn't even want to meet him.
Okay. See, that's why I asked, Gene, because I know there's lots of different sides here, and it's so troubling. Jim, let's start with you. What would you suggest for Gene and her husband?
Well, I'm actually on Jean's side on this one. Her husband has to deal with it the way he has to deal with it. So I'm not putting him down. I'm just simply saying that's not what I would choose. The reason is because, she's already had 2 marriages, Jean, that have been failures. And it sounds like if she fails again, she'll come back to you because you're safe. And so, my feeling is always, hey, she needs to know what you feel. I wouldn't maybe have been as harsh as your husband. But sometimes harshness is good, and he sounds like that's, your daughter would hear that from him because he's probably been saying things like that, the whole time she was born, since she's been born. So, but I would say that for me personally, if it was me, and it was my daughter, I would still want a relationship. I would want to tell her, here's what I think and feel. But at the same time, I need you to know that I love you and I'm going to stand by you because, I think that's what Jesus did. Jesus led with love. And he practiced kindness even when he when he totally disagreed with a prostitute, a tax collector, somebody caught in the middle of adultery, but he still led with love. That didn't mean he agreed with them. And you said something very, very helpful, I think, because you said, hey, look, if they come to our house, they're not going to sleep in the same room. Okay, it's your house, your rules. I buy that. And, that's hard sometimes because they're adults and, of course, they're, sleeping in the same bed or whatever. But, so I think you've thought through it maybe better than your husband. And you and your husband may have to agree to disagree. And that's too bad because what you want to do is try to be you use the word united. And I always find that if parents can be united, they always can't be. And there's a couple things that Kathy and I are not just united on. We've had to learn to agree to disagree. But but if you can be united, then that's a good thing. Your husband may come to your side, but it may take a little slower than it did for you. But I'm on your side at this point. That's where I'm at.
Okay, Jill, how are you going to
so
weigh in?
I need a clarification, Jean. So your husband's objection with this guy is solely because of them living together or deciding to live together?
Yes.
Okay.
And
that's the issue. Okay.
When I said to him about the fact that, Jesus didn't reject anybody. And he said, no, he didn't. But he said, go and sin no more. And she's not doing that.
So what I might be focusing on, right? You guys are making that the big issue. She's not following the rules that Jesus would want. But I'm a little more concerned at where her heart is at and what work has she done since her last divorce. Yeah. And so I might say to her, okay, and you guys both have had your reactions that, okay, you know how we feel about this. Now let's set that aside. Or let us know, tell us how you're thinking. Like, how did this decision come about? And how are you looking at this relationship and trying to do it differently than you did in your last 2 marriages? What work have you done there? And why, tell us why this is, well, again, what I'm saying is tell us why this is so different. And that you think in doing that this time that will work. And if she says, well, he's just a better guy. Okay, well, it isn't always about finding this, this great guy that's not going to disappoint, because they all will. It's about how has she become different? How has she reflected on her own life and work? And then how is this affecting the kids? So I would want to, invest in those grandkids. She's got a 14-year-old.
Right.
That's still at home.
Exactly.
And how will that be for her to have this other child come in? But try to not approach it from this really negative, all we care about is that you're living in sin. Okay? There's a lot of things that she's sinned over. Set that aside, and let's look at the relational aspects here.
How does that sound, Jean?
I like that. That's a great approach.
Yeah.
So
Because
the other
she's
aspect.
one of these people that
Go ahead.
She's a person who's always felt that she could never be alone. And I think with her son leaving,
Sure.
She wants somebody there.
So how much of this is about you being sad about your son leaving and needing to
that's
fill
a
the
great
house?
question.
Yeah.
The other part of that
Okay.
too, Jean, the other part of this is the sadness that you and your husband are going to have to feel and deal with because of the choices that she's made, which goes back to what you started with, Jill. It's, here's the thing. It doesn't always have to be somebody who's struggling with addiction or some crisis, but it is dealing with the disappointments of the decisions that they make. And, then the conflict that comes between you and your spouse, because you don't land on the same page, how do we deal with this relationship? Jim, what would you add to that?
The hard thing today, Jean, is that, in 1975, 75% of the population in America said that they would not live with someone before instead of marriage. Today, 75% say that they would live with someone before instead of marriage. So we have parents who are grieving this because they have biblical values. And interestingly enough, and this isn't the thing you lead with her, but secular studies show that people who cohabitate, that they have a greater chance once they get married of getting a divorce, and they have a greater chance of actually committing adultery in the relationship. And there's about 35 other things. And this is all secular research, but of course the secular world's not going to, bring that up, okay, because it has a moral value aspect of it. You know this, that's why your heart breaks, and your husband knows this, that's why his heart breaks. So I'm with Jill in terms of, there are things you can saying, oh, I if this is meant to be, and if you guys then get married, then I'm really hoping you can learn from different. Doesn't sound like she learned from number 2. Yeah. And yet I find that the successful marriages, I'm not saying they're married yet, but with successful marriages, they can identify, here's what I learned and here's how I'm going to do it differently. That sometimes takes therapy. And a good therapist is going to go right at that. That's what Jill did. She went right at that. What have you learned from your past relationship that's going to make this relationship better? And that's a very important concept. Now, again, from your mom's heart, you may be able to have some of those kinds of conversations. And there's some great books out there, actually, on second and even third marriages, and the kind of questions you want to ask, and how to do all that. And it might be beneficial for you to find those resources for you. Les and Leslie Parrott have some very good material on that. Dr. Les and Dr. Leslie Parrott, Parrott, and there are others who have that some work on it. So you become. They're not going to go to a counselor, so you become a person who can ask questions over coffee. When she brings it up, you've got a good enough relationship with her where she's going to bring up some of this stuff, and you bring it up then.
Well, Jean, I'm grateful that you love her enough to call and ask the question, because you're asking, like what Jill said, to get outside help. But my heart goes out to her because she doesn't. I mean, she doesn't even know why she keeps doing this, except for that she doesn't want to be alone. The other thing I just want to mention to you and your husband, it might be really good for you to arrange a dinner with this boyfriend, and be like with the four of you. Because if she's not asking these difficult questions of him, it will be really important for you to know him a little bit more before he starts to move in. Just saying, it would be helpful to do that. It's something that Steve Arterburn always suggests. It's like, invite him to dinner, take him out for coffee, whatever.
Keep your enemies closer, right?
Yes, exactly. And he may not be an enemy. Who knows?
No,
but I'm just saying,
saying
it's worth checking out. But I'm going to send Jean a copy of How We Love to pass along to her daughter, because this is an incredible opportunity for her to get healing, to understand herself better, to know what would be the difference. What have you learned? What do you know more? And to protect the relationships of her children that she has right now. We're going to go to a break, and we're going to be right back after this. Thank you, Jean, for calling.
My husband was involved with pornography addiction.
He was unfaithful. He stepped out on the marriage and ended up having a child.
The Restore Intensive is designed for a woman dealing with a man's sexual addiction issues.
There were strip clubs. My husband is a recovering sex addict.
If you've been affected by betrayal, an emotional or physical affair, or pornography, the Restore Intensive will equip you with support and tools to help you through.
Restore has empowered me and has given me the tools to work through my anger, work through my pain, work through my confusion, and help me realize that I am worthy.
Being here and being surrounded by people who get it has given me my power back.
The Restore Intensive is coming to Dallas, Texas, July 12th through the 14th. Register online at newlife.com or call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and use the discount code NLL to save $50.
Thank you, Restore. You have changed my life forever.
1-800-NEW-LIFE and the discount code NLL. Daniel Grossman on coaching.
Coaches are really focused on the future and helping people to develop those skills and those strategies to help them move forward in their life. A coach really partners with you to focus on things like personal growth or health goals, spiritual growth, helping you develop in your career or possibly strengthening your relationships or maybe even breaking free from a negative pattern.
If you need a coach for life, your career, relationships, your health and fitness, leadership, and more, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been screened and certified with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
Coaches use different techniques. Some like to use strategic questions and accountability, ultimately empowering you to take those next steps towards your goals.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and talk to us about getting a New Life coach today.
I really believe that everyone can use a coach in their corner.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We are always trying to help people. That is, I know that's what we tell people not to do sometimes. You can get a little bit too controlling, but we're not trying to control you. We're trying to come alongside of you in your life and offer you the help that you need to have relationships that are healthy and to thrive, really and truly. And so, we do everything from intensives to counselors to coaches. We have books, we have downloadables that you can get all kinds of insight. And I just want to encourage you to just keep growing, keep learning. And when I say just, I mean, it's going to be, a lifetime. You might as well make the best of it, right? So we have 4 upcoming summer intensives. We've got the Emotional Freedom, which is just on this Saturday. It's a 1-day online intensive with Steve, Chris Williams, Dr. Jackie McHarris. We have our groups led by our New Life counselors. It is a day of change. If you are stuck in your life in so many different ways, we can get stuck. We want to get you moving forward and finding that freedom and connecting in those groups as well. We also always have Every Man's Battle. We have Intimacy and Marriage in July in Washington, D.C., and we have our Restore Intensive for women who have experienced betrayal. We're going to be in Dallas in July as well. this year, let your summer memory be the summer my healing began. That you can put a marker there saying, this is when I decided to do something to make a difference in my life, to begin my healing. We are right there with you. We also say that when you can't get hold of us during our live broadcast, our live recording, you can submit a question at different ways. And you can go to newlife.com/radio. If you're watching us on YouTube, you see the QR code, it'll take you there. And we have one such question right now. It's from DH. He is she is asking this question from Central Kentucky. And her first question is, should I always submit and defer to my husband to show I'm on his side regardless of the circumstances? And the second question is, do I need to stop being involved with my children and teen grandchildren because my husband has issues with them? The backstory is that her husband believes that every battle he fights should be her battle. And he doesn't attend church any longer because of several prideful issues between him and other congregants, and now sits at home and watches tape sermons from various pastors. I continue to attend church. My husband believes that I'm somehow disrespecting him by continuing to attend and that I'm not on his side. And she believes that I'm honoring God by being in fellowship and worshiping with other believers. He also believes the issues between he and I and our adult children and a couple of the teen grandchildren should be addressed with them by me and not by him, that I should tell them that they need to make things right with him or I will no longer be involved in their lives. Is he right? Jill, you want to start?
Wow. No, I don't think he's right. No. Not at all. I think that, and this isn't just in one situation. She's describing a pattern of relational behavior and ruptures with people that he doesn't know how to make right. And so he's wanting her to step in and make a lot of things right for him or to validate him. Now, not agreeing with him is going to cause upset and between the two of them. But this is where I think that the two of them perhaps going and getting some help, getting some therapy together to talk about this, because I could see this woman ending up very isolated. The more relationships he cuts off, then her world is sequestered to just him and supporting his, thoughts, feelings, delusions. And so that's no way to live. When you get married, you're two individual people that go into partnership. Yes, there's a hierarchy as set up in the Bible, but we each have our roles, and one is not more important than the other. And when you feel like your spouse is avoiding dealing with things in a healthy way, I think you have to speak up and say something. Like, I mean no disrespect. This is not healthy. And I can't collude with the unhealthiness here, even if you're upset with me. But I would come alongside you and sort this out. Let's go talk it through. Let's figure it out. I would address the children with you. I would be there. I would address the church battles with you. But I will not change, my life and isolate myself because of your upset.
Right.
So what do
Jim?
you guys think?
Well, I think one of the things that DH is struggling with is that, she believes she's right. He believes he's right.
Yes.
And I think, to be honest, I call it stinking thinking. I don't think he's right on this stuff. I don't think he's handling it right.
He's being stubborn.
He is. He's being stubborn. And he also has a mindset that may not be healthy. So that's why I believe if they were in my congregation, and I was a pastor, I'm not a pastor now, but if they were in my congregation, I would say, why don't the two of you talk to somebody who you both respect, but even who he respects even more? Because my guess is somebody's going to come alongside and say, I don't agree with you. To the man, somebody needs to be strong enough to stand up to that man.
Maybe another man.
Exactly. Somebody that he respects. So maybe it's somebody in their church or another pastor, one of those pastors that he watches online or whatever it might be.
Right.
I've got some other thoughts, but I know we're coming to a break. So
and what I would say to DH is that there's a lot of feelings here, And it would be great for you guys to come to the Intimacy and Marriage Intensive where, he could feel supported as he expresses his feelings. It's a lot. Yeah. But I don't think the stalemate's going to get you anywhere.
Yeah.
We will be back right after this break. You're listening to New Life Live.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We are always grateful to be around for 35 years. We've had so much wisdom, and we are going to hear a call from way back when from Steve and John. Terry, go ahead and cue that up.
Let's go to Annette. Central City, Nebraska, KMMJ. Hi there.
Hi.
How you doing?
All right. I have a question for you. I'm married, and I have 2 kids. We've been married 11 years. And within the past 5 years, my husband has been unfaithful 6 or 7 times.
Oh my goodness.
And I don't think he's had sexual relations, but there's still adultery in the Bible. I mean, of kissing and other stuff.
Why don't you think he had sex after 6 people?
Because I'm dumb and I believe him.
Yeah, okay. Hey, listen, I believe dumb stuff too. So don't feel alone. But so when did you find out about the first problem that he had, the first time it happened?
About 3 years ago.
Okay. What did you do? What was your reaction the first time?
Well, I was angry and hurt and not really shocked, I guess, because he's kind of just a flirtatious man.
Uh-huh.
So I was angry, but
So anger was your reaction?
Yes.
You didn't say, okay, let's get into counseling. You go to counseling. You get some help.
Yeah. I didn't do none of that, no, because
all right.
He doesn't want to go anywhere.
Right.
No, that's not why.
He's not doing anything.
Annette, it's important at this juncture to say, I didn't force the issue of counseling, not because he didn't want to do it, but because I was afraid to push it too hard. I want you we're going to help you shoulder the load in pushing this so that you can get the help you need. But the first thing is we've got to get off of if he doesn't want to, I can't do anything, because that's not true.
Yeah.
Right? So tell us your question.
I was wondering, how do you get over this kind of stuff and gain trust again? And, you know, I'm not sure if I want my marriage 100% or if I want to divorce him, because he's Christian and he knows it's not okay to do what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
And I just keep letting it happen.
Well, to get over something, Annette, means it has to be in the past.
Uh-huh.
You get over a wound, you get over a loss, and then you forgive it, you heal from it, you reconcile it. You don't have that. You have a problem in the present.
Mm-hmm.
Your husband is an unfaithful spouse and continues to be an unfaithful spouse. So this is not a get over. This is that you need to bring some antibiotics into a very troubled and sick relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make sense? Yeah. So, I'm sorry, what'd you say?
It does, yeah.
Okay. So let's don't talk about get over. Let's talk about how I can be the healthiest person I can be and push as much for change in this man as possible.
Okay.
All righty?
Mm-hmm.
Can I just make a comment? Now, everything that we want to tell you is based on a foundation that it's kind of hard for you to accept the full reality of a situation, like for many of us it is,
mm-hmm.
and act on that reality.
Mm-hmm.
You want to believe the easy thing and actually wish that hope that it will get better.
Yeah.
So kind of what we want to tell you would be the opposite of that. It'd be believing reality and acting on that reality.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
So number one, we want you to go to him and say, you're going to have to move out if you don't get counseling.
Mm-hmm. See, yeah, I told him he's an alcoholic, and I said you need to go to like some Alcoholic Anonymous classes, and he's willing this time. But, and like for my own happiness, or not happiness, but holding him accountable, I told him I wouldn't let him sleep with me until, I don't know, I see a change.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Annette, I believe that you have a code 5 DEFCON marriage,
uh-huh.
and you're treating it like a cold. I think you need to be a lot more aggressive than this. Let's see if did that make any sense to you?
Yeah.
I think you're in crisis. The house is burning down, and I feel like you're scared, and maybe you've just been beaten up after all his mistreatment, and you're sort of saying, well, maybe we ought to do this, and the house is burning down.
Now, do you listen to the show very much?
Yeah, all the time.
Now, you hear us talk about the Every Man's Battle workshop all the time, don't you?
Mm-hmm.
Almost every day. Why haven't you ever thought he ought to go to that thing?
Oh, I have thought about it.
Okay, and then why haven't you said, I'm going to ask him to go to that thing?
Well, because he works and we don't really have the money to do stuff.
Right. Wow. I tell you what, you have the money to do it. If you have the money to divorce, you have the money to do a lot of stuff. Because divorce is very costly emotionally, financially, in every way possible. So, I don't know. Here's what I would hope for you. You would say to him, okay, go to Every Man's Battle workshop. Let's go to the New Life weekend together after that. But you got to put together a treatment plan. So kind of like John says, I think there's a heat-seeking missile coming to blow up your marriage. You got to fly swatter.
Yeah. I'm just concerned about your attitude about this, Annette.
Yeah.
I don't know why you're being so passive. I don't know are you afraid of something? Are you afraid of rocking the boat or something?
I guess I'm kind of afraid of being alone and my kids without their dad because, I don't know, I just feel like it's out of my control.
All right. Well, I can understand the fear.
And I don't want to be hurt again. It's been a lot.
Yes, it has. Yes, it has. So let me give you the prescription in that. Is that God will not leave you alone, nor will he leave you without people. And if your husband says, I love having affairs and drinking more than I love taking care of my family, you can't stop that. But you can go, and we're going to, in your area, we can help you find a healthy church that will say, we're going to be your family for a while. If he has to go out and do his thing, we're going to love you, meet with you, care about you. Hopefully he will stay a good husband. Maybe he'll just hear the fact that you are now firm about this and say, she meant it this time. She's not just nagging me. I've got to go get help. But you can't do this with your fears and your passivity without somebody. You need a coach. You need somebody saying, we'll strengthen you, we'll help you. So we want you to get in a good church so we can help you find, if you don't have one, and a good counselor, because you cannot do this without somebody helping you with those fears and coaching you and strengthening you for some hard things you need to do. But what we do know is these things work.
Okay.
Now, if anybody goes to newlife.com and you look at people commenting on the program, one of the comments that was there is, hey, this person, and obviously the person that commented has listened to us a lot, because this is a common thing we say. This woman has to get the support of other women around her. And what is preventing you from having those deep, rich relationships with women? Can you think of anything? Did your mom not connect with you well, or what was it?
Yeah, my mom, really my whole family just kind of used me all the time.
You allowed yourself to be used by your family?
I did.
Yeah.
And I have a good friend, Jennifer, and she's probably listening.
And does she help you with this? What does she say?
Does.
Yeah, just hope that he gets better, or does
No, she told me exactly what you guys are telling me too.
And so why didn't you respond to her? Why wasn't she important enough to you that you would say, okay, I'm going to do it?
She is. It's me.
Yeah. Okay, well, these are things to look at and things to get help for yourself no matter what your husband decides to do.
You know, Steve, there's also a biblical principle there. When we are weak, he's strong. Paul talked about that.
Right.
I can hear the weakness in Annette's voice, and which means as the ratio of my weakness increases, so I've got to get more strength and support from the outside.
Right.
She feels weak. So you can't just have one Jennifer friend to talk to you every now and then. You need an army around you until you get stronger.
Right.
Do you know that is the reason why we created the Restore Intensive for Women? What Annette is struggling with is she needs that army of women. She needs to be seen. And if you are identifying with what Annette's struggle is, come to the Restore Intensive. It's July 12th through 14th in Dallas. You can call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and we'll get you connected. If money is a problem, we do have scholarships available. If you are in the same situation, you do need help, because as we listened, we all can say, oh my gosh, Annette, you have a way out. You have a voice to be heard. Yet when you're in that situation, it can be so lonely. It can be so isolating because you think that it should just be better. Well, it takes a lot of work, just like what John and Steve were saying. If this is your issue, we want to see it restore. Call us today. We'll be right back after this break.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are. Club New Life changes lives.
You guys came along into my life in 2022. That was a really, really difficult year of my life.
You can help New Life Ministries provide Christ-centered hope and counseling resources to thousands of people by joining Club New Life today.
I began to really process a lot of things that I've needed to for a long time, and y'all were a very big part of that.
When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, you'll make a difference in the lives of individuals and families with godly counsel and connection to help.
I came out of it having never experienced anything like that, and y'all were there.
Join today and help continue the message of hope to a troubled world.
I knew I had to keep going, and I joined Club New Life, and y'all have been the resource that has now been a light for my wife and I.
Go to newlife.com/CNL, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places.
Keep doing what you do because it makes a difference.
newlife.com/CNL. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. You know, at the beginning of the show, you heard Steve asking for help to complete the match. And I just want to encourage you, we just are like a day away and we're so close, and every dollar will be doubled. So you can go to newlife.com/donate or text the word match to 28950. And of course, you can always call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. And, you know, I can't say enough. There's so many ways that you can hear the program. If you're not near the radio at the time of broadcast, we love our radio listeners and are so grateful for our stations across the country who help get the message out, because it may be the only counseling, Christian counseling, that people hear. And I know there's so many people out there that are offering help, and it's great. And never before in the history of ever in counseling and psychology has there been so much help that's out there. But who do you trust? We've been around for 35 years. We have Christ at the center of our ministry, and we want to offer great counseling, great psychological resources, as well as foundation of faith. And so whether you're listening on the radio or you can listen on our free app where you get your apps, you can download it there. You can go to newlife.com. You can watch us on YouTube. And you can also subscribe to the podcast from your favorite podcast provider. If you have Alexa in your home, you can just say, Alexa, play New Life Live. It could change your family's life. It would be incredible. I just wanted to remind you can submit the questions at newlife.com/radio. And we're going to answer another question that was submitted by, let's see, who was it submitted by? Diane. She calls and asks, how can I lovingly talk to my 20-year-old granddaughter and help her realize dating a woman is incorrect? She goes on to say, her mother's been warning me for a while not to be surprised if this happens. I want to talk to her about this, but she knows this is biblically wrong and I won't accept it. She's in college and had a relationship with a guy a couple years ago, but he was cheating on her with other girls, and it broke her heart. I think she's been confused about her sexuality for quite a few years. Her mother is trying to accept this, even though she knows it's wrong, and her father is no help. And he thinks being gay, bisexual is perfectly normal and acceptable. And she just doesn't know what to do. As a grandmother, how can she lovingly talk to her granddaughter about this subject? Jill, you want to start?
Sure. I think this is something that a lot of people are having to contend with these days. And it's so hard. It's another one of those issues where we want to say, biblically, this is wrong, right? And we want to like shout that out and somehow that if we accept it or appear to accept it, somehow we're going to be in the wrong. And this is where I think we have to stop hyper-focusing on the thing that we object to and turn our attention towards the person and their heart. And as a grandmother, you're not the parent. You want to be the safe person. It's okay to say, well, sweetheart, you know where I stand on this and I have views, but what I'm really concerned about is you. I know you had your heart broken by this guy, and now you're finding comfort with women. Tell me what's going on inside of you. Tell me where your heart is right now and explain to me so that I understand, because regardless of your choices, I love you, right? And I want to be there for you. And I think that's the stand we have to take because it's unexpected. She expects you to not accept it. She expects you to have objections and walls, which drives her further into a community that is very accepting. The gay community says, no one else understands. We understand you. Right? And she's getting comfort from women because, yes, she's been hurt by a guy, and there may be other things going on as well. Yeah. But so I think it's important to shift our emphasis. And that doesn't mean you're condoning it, but it means you're putting the relationship and love as a higher priority, and you're looking at the long game instead of the short term, beating her up with it that doesn't work.
Right. I think that Diane has the greatest opportunity to be loving to her. I love that she even asked, how can I lovingly talk to my 20-year-old granddaughter? And I think that's what you do. We have a phrase in the youth ministry world that always says, earn the right to be heard. So that's why I affirm what you're saying, Jill, because I really think it's important that, Grandma gets the chance to earn the right to be heard. And so don't just talk, listen. And say, how's it going? Tell me about it. I have these concerns. Now, again, she knows what you believe. And so she's going to expect you to kind of give some of that. But I think to develop that relationship in the long run, it's asking questions. Tell me about this. Help me understand. Because we find a lot of times, a lot of people who are in same-sex relationships or even bisexual, they were abused. Like I can't tell you the amount of young women in their 20s who were sexually abused and then found comfort with another woman, and they did because that woman knows how to please her. I mean, we as a heterosexual, nobody has to worry about their husbands, being hit on by me. But the fact of the matter is that we have to understand that women know how to please a woman. So she might be being pleased, and it might fool her into what we call instant intimacy. So again, Diane, what you want to do is make sure that you have some of the tools in your tool chest to have those conversations when she asks. Be loving, be caring. Because you're grandma, you're not mom or dad. So because you're grandma, she might be able to share with you some things. But here's what I'm always saying to these young people. Whose voice are you listening to? So are we listening to the voice of culture? The voice of culture has changed over the years. Even some very famous political people didn't believe in, say, for example, gay marriage, and now they do. Well, maybe they did, but they didn't want to do it with politics, right? So again, the voices change, and the voices for living with a same-sex relationship or even bisexuality, that voice is screaming right now, and it's really loud. Or do you go with authority? So this young woman, it's been, a couple of years since she's been in a relationship with a boy. It doesn't sound like that was good. But the authority of Scripture has been around for thousands and thousands of years. And so I think you lead with love, you show kindness, but you get the chance to be able to help her understand that God made us in the image of God, and that we are made with male and female, and you get your chance to say it. And if she thinks you're old-fashioned, that's fine, okay? Because, hey, you're grandma, okay? But you can do that in love, but also saying to her, a lot of times these relationships crash, and if they crash, I want you to know you can come to me.
Well, and along that same line, Jim, how about we have these same conversations about heterosexual relationships? Because how many callers do we have who, they got married and then it was a disaster, and nobody ever, it's interesting because like what you both are talking about is that connection. It's, the details are important at some point, but if you don't have the connection, you can't have the discussion. And I just, my heart goes out to so many people who get into heterosexual relationships and no one has ever talked to that other person about what they believe, what are their values. And then we have heartbreak. And just like this recorded call that we just played, where she gets stuck in a relationship forever. And it is, relationships take a lot of work and it's worth doing, but these connections are so powerful. And both of you have offered just some great insight.
When you get the other person, especially a young person, to start articulating because you want to know and you want to understand, you care, right? They have to think out loud because so much is based on feeling.
Yeah.
Right.
And by doing that, you're giving them the chance. That put them in disequilibrium because they think grandma, they know what she believes. Grandma's going to come at me and she's going to preach, talk, push. Biblical principles, frankly.
Yeah.
But when she doesn't, that puts them a little bit in disequilibrium, and I find that they'll be more open about talking about it. And then they'll finally want to know what grandma thinks.
And we all want to know what grandma thinks.
We do.
Well, we're so grateful for that question, and I'm grateful for you both. Jill and Jim are so wise, and I'm so grateful that you guys got to hear their answers today. If you have any questions, know that we are here for you, and we want to be helpful.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video, and please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE, but when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.